it's Raquel Bowman, and today I'm here with a new layout for Hip Kit Club. I had a bit of a idea that I'm sort of running with for this layout today, and the idea was that I used one of Ashley's cut files firstly to use my sketch pen and stitch a heart onto my background. So if I bring that up a bit closer, you can see that it's in just a white thread. So I used the sort of dotted line sketch of the heart, and then I've just machine stitched around that. Then what I did was Kim had a background cut file that was all of these houses. So I chose one of the houses that I liked, and I used the eraser tool in Silhouette to delete basically everything else but this one house. And I had to sort of neaten up the edges a little bit with the eraser just to make it look how it should. So I did that, and then I enlarged it to fit in the center of a 12 by 12, and my idea was to have home is where the heart is. So I've got my home and I've got my heart. Then these two windows will go on the page as well. And then what I've done is printed my photos so that they can go inside the home. So I've got a picture of my husband here to go inside the door, and then I've got two little pictures of my children to go inside the windows. Then what I'm going to do is basically just embellish the rest of the page and add my title and things like that using these July kits. So I'll speed you up and I'll get creating and take you along with me. Okay, so I begin by just backing my photos into that cut file. So I use the negative pieces of the door and the window to place on top of the photos, and then I cut around them with the border. This means that I can apply some liquid adhesive to the windows and around the edge of the door, and the photos will fit in there perfectly. I was then going to work on backing the main house cut file, and I decided to firstly back it with some vellum. And at this stage I decided that I was just going to back that main part of the house with the vellum. I just wanted something on the back of it. I wanted something soft, and I wasn't quite sure where I was going with that part yet and whether I wanted it to have any colour, but I knew that the top of the house I wanted to have pinks in it. So I traced a certain area of that gorgeous splotchy exclusive paper and then cut that out and adhered that on with just some liquid glue. And what I love about being able to trace around whole cut files is all you basically do is grab a pencil, trace around the edges, and then cut in just a little bit from the edge, and you've got sort of that perfect fitting piece for the back of that cut file. And it just makes it so much easier than backing little individual pieces. So then I pop on that vellum. So later on I end up adding a pattern paper behind that vellum, but at that stage I hadn't got that far yet. Then with my photos, I felt like they needed something else, so I'm going to give them a slight thin photo mat with that same exclusive paper, and just in more of like the pink tones I grabbed from one of the scraps of paper that I had, and I'm just cutting it around it, just holding it on with my finger around the photo and just sort of giving it a slight border, and I'll adhere those down later. Then I decided that I wanted to, because I've got the house there, I wanted to sort of have some garden either side of the house. So I grabbed that Simple Stories paper, which is from the Sunshine and Happiness collection, and I'm just fussy cutting out some of those flowers. Now I cut quite a few, so I end up doing the rest of those off camera just to save you watching through them. And then they all appear below, and then I thought to myself that, well, now I need grass. So I'm sort of going for a bit of a I suppose it's like a bit like a picture scene. So I have my house and my grass and my flowers. The grass, I've just used my fringing scissors, which are actually herb scissors, I think, that I got quite a while ago now and hadn't really used very often, so they're getting a bit more of a workout lately. And I've just fringed a green section of that exclusive paper again, and I'm actually using that paper once more to punch out a cloud, and that was just a cloud punch in my stash. I've had it for ages, so I was pleased to be able to use that as well. And I just used some of the blue tones from the paper, so I'm happy with sort of the colouring of this so far. And then I was thinking about my title, and as I mentioned before, I knew I wanted it to say home is where the heart is. And when I saw these gold alphas, I thought that they'd be perfect. The green exclusive alphas were a bit too bold, and the thickers, which are the Fitzgerald font in like a teal, they weren't quite the colour I wanted. So I decided to use these gold ones. I love that the font is really small and it fits perfectly around the curve of the heart. And I, of course, had plenty of them, so that sort of worked out perfect. Then what I did was I used the extra dashes that were in the alpha pack and just continued along that heart line so that it made the edge a bit more defined, because what I found was that the stitching got a little bit lost behind there. Maybe if I had have stitched it in a darker colour you would have been able to see it, but the whites tended to blend in a little bit. So I used those dashes to define that a little bit more. And then I'm going through one of the exclusive ephemera packs and just trying to create a cluster. I felt like the layout needed a little bit of embellishing. It's not quite the normal design that I would do on this layout, meaning that it is quite busy and lots of the page is taken up with titles or space. There isn't sort of that easy to achieve visual triangle which I'm used to doing, but I still felt like I needed a cluster. So I've sort of got a cluster to the top left of the photo, a cluster to the bottom right of the house, and then sort of that grouping of flowers to the left of the house, and that's sort of forming a rough triangle there, but it's certainly not design wise how I might normally create a layout. But I felt this was quite a different design compared to what I might normally do, that I wasn't sort of able to stick to those same principles that I might have normally used. While I was creating this, I thought this could actually be quite a cute, say, front cover of an album or sort of feature in an album. I have done a layout with these photos just recently, but I thought that this could even be a page for my son's album, and say the other page that I created could have been one for my daughter's album. So there's always a way around sort of repeating similar photos, which I don't normally do. So I'm up to the adhering stage, and I'm using my T-square ruler to help me keep that house sort of centered and more so straight, because I sort of had the positioning between the title at the top there that I knew where I wanted the house to sit. And then I'm just going to go through and adhere all of those bits and pieces. Now with the grass, because it's got the fringing, I wanted it to sort of be a little bit dimensional. So I actually popped some foam adhesive behind that sort of whole piece there, behind the fringe, and then I've sort of tucked and weaved in the floral pieces amongst that. And I'll do the one side and then I won't show you the second side, just to save you going through and watching that. And to finish the layout, I felt like I'd had the gold area with the title, but I wanted to add some more gold accents. So these Project Life rub-ons were perfect, and there was some hearts there. So I thought that I'd apply some hearts around the groupings of florals. And then I had the idea to cut out some more of those hearts and to apply them like they look like it's smoke coming out of the chimney. So I add 3 of those to the top area of the chimney just to represent the smoke coming out. And I suppose the smoke is hearts and sweet and lovey, so I thought that was a bit cute. I've got a larger heart there which I'm going to cover some of that excess card that I had layered under there, that sort of oval ephemera piece. And that's pretty much it. A couple of enamel dots, or enamel hearts I should say. Thanks so much for watching today. Don't forget to check out the hipkitclub.net to see where you can purchase these kits and the cut files. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.